जिह्वे कीर्तय केशवं मुररिपुं चेतो भज श्रीधरम् पाणिद्वन्द्वसमर्चयाच्युतकथाः श्रोत्रद्वयत्वं शृणु कृष्णं लोकय लोचनद्वय हरेर्गच्छाङ्घ्रियुग्मालयम् जिघ्रघ्राणमुकुन्दपादतुलसीं मूर्धन्नमाधोक्षजम्. So we are going through this 16th shloka. Anghri Yugmam, the 2 feet, and he is advising his own 2 feet. Harehe alayam gaccha, go to the temple of the Lord Hari. What is the significance of visiting the temples? You know, in our Hindu tradition, we worship God in our own homes, having a small little shrine and our own images also. And also we go to the temples and get the traditional worship done or see the traditional worship being done there. The concept of Archavatara given to us by the Bhakti scriptures says that once God is invoked into an image or a symbol, God presents himself there in the Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, accepts our worship. So the little image or the flower is no more a metallic or a stone image or a flower, but starts vibrating with life, power, consciousness and energy. And in the temple, the presence is much more, because in these temples, what is technically called as prana pratishtha is done. It is a very long and complicated process. A brief account of it has been given in the little book all about Hindu temples, based upon what we call as the Agama Shastras. First, a number of homakundas are established in a separate yagashala. Homas are done to the various deities, especially to the main deity which will be invoked into the image of the main temple. Then a thread is tied to the homakunda that is taken all the way, and then it is tied to the image also. Then there is a transference of the power of the deity from the presence in the homakunda into the permanent image. So once the prana pratishtha is done, ceremonially the power of the Lord is invoked into the image, then the Lord will start living in that image permanently. So this is just not a belief, but it is ceremonially done through appropriate rituals, and more than that, the great saints and sages who have visited these temples have actually vouched for it by their visions. Sri Ramakrishna, whenever he visited a place of pilgrimage, he would actually have the darshan of the Lord in that particular image or temple. In Swami Brahmanandaji's life also, we find quite a few incidents. He had a vision of the Divine Mother in the Tirupati temple. He actually saw the Divine Mother in the Kanyakumari temple and also in other places. So, because a temple is consecrated and the Lord starts living there with his Sukshma Sharira or divine presence. Therefore, going to the temple is very useful to us. Those vibrations can enter into us and make us more holy, purer and better. That is why he is telling Harehe Alayam Gaccha. This is about the normal or ordinary temples. But the temples in Tirtha Kshetras, places of pilgrimage, are even more powerful. They are ancient for thousands of years. Lakhs and lakhs of devotees have been visiting, offering their worship. Many great saints and sages have done tapas. So the places of pilgrimage and the temples in such places of pilgrimage are very, very powerful. By going or visiting such places, we, the sadhakas, will benefit much. So he is advising his own feet, Harehe Alayam Gaccha. Then Granam, our nose, the organ of smell. Mukunda Pada Tulusim Jigra. Ghra Gandhopadani, that is the root verb. Ghra means to smell. Of course, it could be good smell or bad smell. Gandha is smell, Upadana is taking. The Granendriya is meant for that. We find that the sense of smell is very strong in animals. Even now we read in the newspapers that the police department has got sniffer dogs because their sense of smell is very, very, very keen. Smell is known by the word vasana in Sanskrit. Jighra grana mukunda pada tulusim. The smell that is coming out of the tulsi, which has been offered at the feet of the Lord, you smell that. The word vasana again is used in two senses. One is smell, the other is samskara. Something which lives in our mind for a long time. Vas nivase. Vas means to live. So vasana is that which lives in our mind for a long time. It is samskara. It has made an impression there. It continues. So, by smelling the fragrance of the tulsi offered at the feet of God, we are imbibing into ourselves two things. One is the immediate smell of the tulsi. We feel we are blessed. We become holy because it is prasad offered to the Lord. The second thing is, also by association of ideas, it creates an impression in the mind, and later on also we can bring it into the mind and remember the Lord more and more. Wherever and whenever we find tulsi, immediately we can remember that tulsi is dear to Lord Hari. We had previously taken it as prasadam in a temple or in a holy place, and by that association of ideas we are able to remember the Lord. And this agranana of tulsi is very good for the body, very good for the mind. In fact, the Ayurvedic works eulogize the use of tulsi in various diseases. Many medicinal qualities have been described for tulsi in these Ayurvedic works. Then we come to the next organ, Murdha. Muhyate asmin ahate adhokshajam nama. Murdhan is the head. He is advising his own head. You bow down to Lord Adhokshaja. A very interesting definition is given here by one of the commentators. Mukhyati asmin ahate iti murdha. If somebody beats us on the head, we lose consciousness. So it is called as murdha because it is an organ which loses consciousness when it is beaten. That is all right for grammatical definitions. But what about the spiritual definition? Spiritual definition says the head is there for bowing down to the Lord, not for any other purpose. So the poet is telling Adhokshajam Nama. Adhokshaja is one of the names which is used in Vishnu Sahasranama and other stotras of Lord Vishnu. Three definitions or three commentaries are given by Bhagavan Shankaracharya. Adho nakshiyate jatu yasmat tasmat adhokshajaha. One who never falls away or slips away from his essential or real nature. So he is called Adhokshaja. Adhas means below. Ksha refers to Kshaya, getting destroyed or falling or slipping from the path. So one who never gets destroyed, one who never falls from his real original nature or greatness, he is called Adhokshaja. Tanna Swarupadinda endigu jarade irtakkanthavanu. The second definition is Dyauhu Aksham Prithvicha Adhaha Tayohu Yasmat Ajayata Madhye Vairaja Rupena. Adha represents the earth, and then Aksha represents Dyuloka, so the top and the bottom. The Lord fills up this whole universe in a special form called Virat. So Virat Rupa, by the cosmic form, the Lord is filling all the worlds above and the worlds below. Therefore he is called as Adhokshaja. So bow down to Adhokshaja means bow down to the Lord who is of cosmic dimensions, who is the Supreme Lord who has filled up all the universes or all the worlds. Adho bhute pratyak pravahite akshagane jayate iti adhokshajaha. This third definition is more relevant and more directly applicable to us. Aksha means the indriyas, panchendriyas. Adhas means putting them down. So the Lord is seen. The Lord is seen, or it is easy to see the Lord when we have subdued our sense organs. So if it is possible for us to subdue the sense organs, to establish perfect control over our panchendriyas, especially the panchajnanendriyas, and therefore the mind, then the Lord will reveal himself. So self-control or sense control is the prerequisite for realizing the Lord. Adhokshaja, the Lord is born in our minds and hearts if we have succeeded in putting down the power of the senses over us. Self-control, sense control leads to purification of mind, and in such a purified mind the Lord will be manifest. Murdhan nama adhokshajam. Now why should the head bow down to the Lord? The Lord is called as Adhokshaja. Yes, we have understood. He is the cosmic form. He has a cosmic form transcending all the universes, and he can be realized only when the mind is controlled and all that. But the poet is asking his head bow down to the Supreme Lord. Why? One of the basic defects in our personality is ahankara, egoism. In order to conquer egoism, we should make ourselves humble by bowing to the Lord. Not only that, the Bhagavatam says, the Lord exists everywhere. So, by trying to see the Lord in all the objects of the world, living or non-living, and by bowing down before them as Narayana himself, we are purifying ourselves spiritually. Praname dandavat bhumau. The Bhagavatam says in one place, while speaking about the code of conduct for the sannyasin, a sannyasin is going in the street for bhiksha. He may see an ass, he may see a cow, he may see a brahmana, he may see a chandala, it doesn't matter. In all of them, there is the same Narayana. So he should do Sashtanga Pranam even in the street. So that is the extent to which the bhakti scripture like Bhagavatam goes. See the Lord and bow down to Him. So by bending our head, by bowing down to the Lord, we are actually conquering our own ego sense, which is a great obstacle in our life. So this shloka actually tells us that by submitting every anga or every limb of our body and mind to this discipline, we are slowly transforming ourselves. Total transformation of the personality is what is aimed at in this shloka. Now we speak, instead of speaking all sorts of things, speak about the Lord, repeat His name, and then we have got the head bowed down before the Lord. The Lord has given us the feet, let the feet take us to the temple. He has given us the hands, let the hands do His worship, and so on. By utilizing our body-mind complex, every aspect of our person and personality and power in the service of the Lord, we are actually transforming ourselves totally. In Sanskrit, there is a nyaya called Brahmarakita Nyaya. There is a wasp, Kannadadalli Kanaja anta helteve. A wasp will take a kita. Say, let us take a small cockroach. So it first catches it, gives it one sting, small little injection, and it almost loses its strength and consciousness. It brings it and puts it in his place, in his little nest, and then goes away. Now this kita is so terribly afraid of this Brahmara that is constantly meditating upon it. Oh, when will that fellow come and kill me and eat me up? So there is constant, continuous meditation of the kita on the Brahmara. And the result is, fortunately for it, before the Brahmara comes back, the kita itself is transformed into a Brahmara and flies out. That is, what you meditate upon, that you become. By constant, continuous meditation, the kita gets transformed into Brahmara. This is called Brahmara Kita Nyaya. So be careful about what you think. If the mind is constantly thinking of the petty little things of the world, we degrade ourselves. If you are able to think of the Lord and the higher things, noble thoughts, we elevate ourselves. So the Lord, the devotee here, is telling us how to elevate our whole personality by transforming the act and actions of every one of the limbs to higher levels, taking them to higher levels. Then we go to the next shloka, 17. He lokaha shrunuta prasuti maranam vyadhesh chikitsamimam yogajñas samudaharanti munayah yam yajñavalkyadayah Antarjyotirameyamekam krishnakhyamapiyataam tatpītam paramaushadham vitanute nirvānamatyantikam. He is giving an advice to the people of the world. Come, you, ye, one and all, come and listen. He lokaha prasuti maranavyadhehe imam chikitsam shrunuta yam yajñavalkyaadayaha yogajñaha munayah samudaharanti antarjyotihi ameyam ekam krishnakhyam amrutam apiyatam pītam tat paramaushadham atyantikam nirvānam vitanuti. The people of the world, according to this poet, are suffering from a great disease, a terrible disease. Now this poet is a doctor. He has found out what that disease is and how it is making these people suffer and what is the remedy for that and how to practice or take that remedy. All these things are being given through this shloka. The disease and the treatment and the vaidya or the doctor, all the three factors are there in this shloka. Similar sentiments we find in the 24th and 31st shloka also later. The roga or disease is samsara. Samsara, as I have told you many times, is a technical word. Sri gatau. Sri means moving. Moving nicely well. In what? In the chakra, wheel of samsara, birth and death. Shankara has defined it how it comes. First we have got this ajnana. From ajnana comes dvaita bhava. I am different, you are different, world is different. Dvaita bhava gives rise to kama, desire. Once desire comes in the mind, karma comes. Either to fulfill the desire or to ward off dangers. Once we do karma, the phala has to come. The phala cannot be exhausted in one life, so future lives become necessary. Punarjanma is there. So, birth, death, rebirth, redeath and so on, it goes. Cycle of birth and death. This is called samsara. In fact, all our problems in life, all the suffering we are undergoing in life is due to this being born in this world, in this body. This is called technically as samsara. Why is this samsara called as roga? We all of us have experienced roga. Some time or the other we have fallen sick, we have suffered. Roga gives us yatana, great suffering. And sometimes it leads to death also. So there is suffering, there is death. Samsara is exactly that. It is making us suffer, both physically and mentally. And one day the end comes. Prarabdha karma is completed, is finished. We give up this body, but to complete the karma chakra we are born again. This goes on forever. When we are suffering from a roga or a disease, what do? We go to a doctor. Once I asked Jagishanji, there was some problem, physical problem. I had just started coming to the ashram. I thought even for physical problems we could have spiritual solutions. So I asked him, such and such a thing is happening, what shall I do? He immediately said, for physical diseases, go to the doctor. If there are spiritual problems, you come here. Very simple solution. If there are physical problems, physical diseases, go to the doctor. They are the people trained for this. But if there are other problems connected with sadhana, with spiritual life, then come here. So we go to a doctor when we are ill. But here, samsara is not a disease of that type which can be cured by the ordinary physicians or surgeons or doctors of this world. So he has given the names of specialists in this field. Nowadays, almost in every other road, you find a big nursing home, and there will be long lists of 20, 30 doctors of various departments and specialization areas. So like that, our MukundaMala is also giving. There is a specialist department. These are the people who are specialists in this field. Yogajnaha Yajnavalkyaadayaha. Yajnavalkya and others, they know what yoga is. It is the science of yoga that has made them adepts in this field. You go to them, you surrender yourselves at their feet, and then they will be able to tell you how to get rid of this disease. Then the next question that we have to understand or be clear about is yoga. Nowadays this word is being bandied about everywhere. The moment we talk of yoga, generally 99.9% of the people understand it as yogasanas. There is one professor, he has settled down in the United States. When I was in Mysore, he used to bring his students almost every year, and they used to visit our institution. I used to address them also. Once, just while talking like this, he gave me a very funny incident. 3 brothers from India had settled down in the United States, and they were running a South Indian hotel, idli, dosa, upma and all that. The business was fairly good. And the eldest of the 3 brothers had learned some yogasanas. Somehow the idea came to him, we are 3 brothers and we don't have much work. So the other 2 brothers can manage the hotel. Then why not I teach some yogasanas to the Americans here? So he practiced them once again, what little he had learned, and put up a nice board, International School of Indian Yoga, and then started charging fees. And the professor told me within 6 months he got so much money that he closed down the hotel. There was no need to run the hotel. People are mad after that. Our Nikhilanji used to tell us, sometimes the American devotees come to us and ask us, Swami, please teach us yoga. What for? Well, we want to regain our health and strength and energy and enjoy the good things of life. Then Nikhilanji would tell us, I used to tell them, then this is not the place for you. So many times people think that yoga means yogasanas or some hatha yogic practices. According to the scriptures, Gheranda Samhita, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, they are the basic scriptures for Hatha Yoga. According to them, Hatha Yoga is only the first step aimed at preparing the body for Raja Yoga. So yoga in the ultimate analysis means 2 things. Yuj samadhau, yujir yoge. 2 definitions are given in the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and the commentaries. One is samadhi, perfect concentration. The mind is completely merged in the object of concentration. It is not aware of anything else. That is called samadhi. Samyak adhiyate manaha asmin iti. The mind is completely kept in that it doesn't come out. Total concentration. The second meaning is to get yoked with God. Jivatman becoming one with Paramatman. Yatha nadyasya andamanaha samudre astangachanti nama rupe vihaya. The rivers Ganga, Yamuna and other rivers, they flow into the ocean and become one with it. That is also yoga. Jivatman attaining unity with Paramatman and then perfect concentration. Both these meanings are possible for the word yoga. Of course, samadhi ultimately leads to union with God. Perfect concentration, meditation on the Atman, realizing the Atman and the connection between the Atman and Brahman, getting merged with Brahman ultimately, that is yoga. Now these Yajnavalkya and other sages, they have been called as Yogajna, those who know yoga very well. How did they come to know about this? How did they become experts in the field of yoga? We have heard about them. If they have become experts in the field of yoga, they must have adopted some sadhana, some method, some means. Let us also know about it. First is sadhana. Second is sakshatkara. Through sadhana they realized, they became great yogis. But how is it possible to do sadhana unless there is guidance from the Guru? So that takes us to a very important point or step in our spiritual life, Guru Kripa and Guru Parampara. Grace of the Guru and also the tradition of the Gurus. Once we get a good Guru and he teaches us how to practice spiritual discipline, we follow in the footsteps taught to us by the Guru, gradually we make progress and come at the same truth, realize or experience the same truth which they themselves have had and by which they have become Yogajnas, great rishis. The name of Yajnavalkya has been specially mentioned here because he is perhaps the greatest sage that we find, that we come across in the Upanishads. His story comes in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Quite long sections are there wherein he gives his teaching. And the story of Yajnavalkya comes in Bhagavatam and Vishnu Purana. Vyasa Maharshi had 4 chief disciples. One of them was Vaishampayana, to whom he had taught Yajurveda. Vaishampayana had become very old, and among his disciples, Yajnavalkya was the most intelligent and the chief disciple, we can say. But to put it in the modern language, he was a first-rank student. They had a tradition during those days that if any of the rishis living in the forest invited the other rishis for any particular purpose, religious purpose or conference, all the rishis were expected to go. If due to some reason a rishi doesn't go, he will incur Brahmahatya dosha. It so happened that once Vaishampayana was invited, he could not go, mainly because he was too old and too weak to go. Nevertheless, he got Brahmahatya dosha and he had to expiate it. Prayaschitta had to be performed. So he called all his disciples and then told them, you see, this is what has happened. I cannot do the Prayaschitta by myself, but you as my disciples can do it for me. The Shastra allows it. Then Yajnavalkya stood up and said, Sir, what is the use of all these worthless, useless fellows? You leave it to me, I shall take care of it. He was so proud of his learning and his capacity Then immediately Vaishampayana got angry. This was almost the last straw for him. He told him, "Get out. I am expelling you from my Gurukula." Of course, the story is very interesting. And he also told him, "Before you go, you give me back the Veda I have taught. Come on, here is the Veda, you take it." Yajnavalkya vomited it. It was very dark and black, so it was called as Krishna Yajurveda. He went to the Himalayas and then did upasana on the sun god, who taught him through the Hayagriva form the Shukla Yajurveda. That is the story. And then Vaishampayana asked his other disciples to take the Veda which Yajnavalkya had left there. Now it was something abominable, they couldn't take it in the human form, so they transformed themselves into little titri birds, something like our gubbachi or sparrow, and then ate it up. This is the story. Of course, this is highly symbolical. The interpretation, one very intelligent commentator has given, is very nice, it is very educative also. Yajnavalkya gave it, and then the others received it. As regards the names Krishna and Shukla, two interpretations are given. The followers of Yajnavalkya might have called, "This is the real Yajurveda." So it is Shukla, it is clean, white, pure, and that is dark compared to this. That is one way of looking at it. The other way is Krishna dark means something very ancient, difficult to understand. So Shukla Yajurveda is comparatively easier and simpler, that is more Gahana, recondite, difficult to understand. Then coming to the titri birds, accepting it or eating it up, because of which it got the name Taitriya, Taitriya Samhita, Taitriya Brahmana, Taitriya Aranyaka and Taitriya Upanishad. We can interpret the story like this. Among all the disciples, the entire Yajurveda had been learnt only by Yajnavalkya. Others didn't have the capacity to learn the whole Veda. So the Guru made Yajnavalkya teach the Veda to the other disciples. So to the extent he taught the Krishna Yajurveda to others, to the extent they learnt, to that extent it was wiped off his mind due to Guru Shapa. First chapter is taught, first chapter is fixed up, first chapter goes off Yajnavalkya's mind. Then second chapter is taught, they learn the second chapter, Yajnavalkya forgets. The whole Veda is taught to them, the whole Veda is lost as far as Yajnavalkya is concerned. So this is the story. But one thing is certain, that Yajnavalkya was a very great thinker, a very great rishi, a rishi of extraordinary merit. In fact, many of the Western scholars who have gone through Yajnavalkya's writings, especially the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, all of them declare that he is the brightest star among the rishis of the Upanishads. And Yajnavalkya was also a great yogi. There is a work in his name, it is called Yogi Yajnavalkya. Something like a summary of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. It is in Anushtup meter like the Gita shlokas, and the subject is entirely Raj Yoga. So we can connect that also with this. Yogajnaha Yajnavalkyadeyaha. Yajnavalkya was a great rishi. He was a Brahmajnani. He was a Vidvat Sannyasin also. He took to sannyasa after realization. And he was also a great yogi. Such people like him have given us the remedy for the disease called samsara. They say, this is the path, you follow this path, you will be freed from the disease of samsara, disease called samsara, roga. Then there is the word Adi, Yajnavalkya Deyaha, Yajnavalkya and others. There is a long list of rishis. I am giving you only a few names from that. Gautama, Vishwamitra. The story of Vishwamitra is also very interesting. He wanted to become a Brahmarshi. Ultimately he did. After he became Brahmarshi, because he was Vishwamitra, he was a friend of the whole universe, he felt very much for the people of the world. They are all groping in darkness, groping in ignorance. I must show them the shortcut to perfection. He did tapas and received the Gayatri Mantra. For Gayatri Mantra, he is the discoverer, the original Rishi. Vishwamitra Rishi, he Gayatri Chandaha and so on. We repeat at the time of repetition of that mantra. So, Vishwamitra discovered the Gayatri Mantra for the benefit of whole humanity. Then there is Vasishtha, another very great Brahmarshi. Atri, Bharadwaja, Marichi, Kashyapa, Angiras, Shvetaketu, Sanatkumara, Pippalada. Some of them have been listed among the 7 sages, Saptarshis. All these great rishis were great in every sense of the term, especially in the spiritual sense. Now they have given us a chikitsa. This is the disease. Now there is a cure for that disease. This is the cure. Chikitsa, treatment, cure. And that chikitsa or treatment consists of aushadhi, a wonderful medicine. If that medicine is drunk, your disease will go. That is what they say. What is that aushadhi or medicine which they are giving, which they are prescribing? Krishnakhyam amrutam apiyatam. It is called Krishna. Krishna Akhya. Krishna emba hesarulla. The medicine is called Krishna and it is Amrita. It has got 2 special qualities. Amrita is very sweet. Amrita gives you the deathless state, immortality. So the medicine called Krishna is very sweet and it is also capable of giving you immortality. Apiyatam, let it be taken, let it be drunk. But he says it is ekam. There is only one remedy. There is no second remedy. You may have heard of so many medicines and drugs because people advertise, but the only remedy that will work as far as this disease is concerned is Krishnakhyam Amritam Apiyatam. And what are the special qualities of this medicine called Krishna? Antarjyotihi Ameyam Ekam Amritam. Antarjyotihi. It is something which is burning brilliantly within, which gives light inside. It is called Paramaushadha. One of the qualities which you find in our medicines is that very often the medicine may be very bitter, very difficult to take. But once you succeed in taking, it acts. Medicine may be bitter, but the effect of the medicine, taking the medicine, will be wonderful. So, Krishnakhyam Amritam Apiyatam. As far as this medicine is concerned, it is not at all bitter. It is unlike other medicines. It is Amrita, very, very sweet, very tasty. And not only that, it gives you Amritatva also, immortality. We have got 2 very nice shlokas taken from the Bhagavatam about this. Kalau kalmasha chittanam papadravyopajivinam vidhikriya vihinanam gatir govinda kirtanam pravishtah karnarandhrena swanam bhavasaroruham dhunoti shamalam krishnah salilasya yatha sharat kalau kalmashachittanam. In this Kali Yuga, people's minds are absolutely unclean, dirty, full of sinful tendencies. Papa dravya upajivinam, that is another characteristic. They earn by wrongful means and enjoy the wealth. So while earning dravya or wealth, they take to papa and they live upon the dravya earned by papa. And as a result of that, their minds are impure. All right? Are they at least following some religion in their life? Vidhikriya? No. Vidhikriya vihinanam. Every person is expected to do some spiritual practices, getting up in the early morning, taking bath, a little worship of the deity at home, a little the repetition of the divine name, honoring the guests. All these kriyas, religious rites and disciplines have been given by the Shastras. They don't follow them. Vidhikriya vihinanam. For such people, is there no gati for them? No way of liberation? Yes, there is. Gatihi Govinda Kirtanam. Thinking of the Lord Govinda, repeating his divine name, singing his names and glories, that is the only way for them. Then the other shloka says, Pravishtah Karnarandhrena Swanam Bhavasaroruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishnaha Salilasya Yatha Sharat. Sharat is Sharad Ritu, autumn. It comes after rainy season. In the rainy season, the waters of the rivers are very dirty, full of mud. But as soon as the rainy season goes and the autumnal season comes, water becomes clean. Just like that, when the name Krishna enters through the holes of our ears, enters into our mind, our heart, immediately it cleanses the whole mind, the whole heart. Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna. Just as the autumnal season purifies the waters of the rivers, in the same way the little word Krishna that enters into our minds and hearts through our ears, that is, somebody is chanting, we listen, that's all. Even then it is capable of cleansing or purifying our heart. So that is why the name Krishna is prescribed as the medicine, and it is also called as Amrita because it is sweet to take and it also is capable of giving Amritatva. Now this Krishnakya Paramaushadha has got three qualities according to this shloka. One is Antarjyotihi, secondly it is Ameya, thirdly it is Eka. Why is it called Paramaushadhi? That is also a very important word that the saint has used. Ordinary aushadhi or disease, the medicine, cures the physical disease. But Paramaushadhi cures all the diseases, whether of the body, of the speech, or the mind, or the heart. All diseases are completely cured and we become divine. That is why it is called as Paramaushadha. It is Antarjyotihi. By doing Krishna Nama Japa, we have a realization or vision of the Lord within us, Antarjyoti. The form of light realized inside us. So it is called Antarjyoti. We close our eyes, repeat the name, meditate upon Him. The power of the name is so great that gradually it unfolds. It ripens into the image inside, the presence inside. Second adjective given is, it is Ameya. Its effect cannot be measured. It is infinitely powerful. God's name is infinitely powerful. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Nam O Nami Ak. Nam means the name of the Lord. Nami, one who is named by it. The person who has the name and the name, they are identical. So with the name, he can control the Lord himself. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of kite flying. The kite may be flying very high in the sky, but as long as the thread is in your hand, you can pull it and get the kite to yourself. So that thread, the name is the thread by which we can pull the Lord who is like the kite unto ourselves. So it is Ameya, the name of the Lord is something with the power of which cannot be measured. Then third one is Ekam, Advitiya. There is no other remedy which is equal to this. Ekam eva advitiyam Brahma. This word is often used in the Vedantic scriptures and the Upanishads. Merely telling is not, Ekam is not enough. You have to tell Advitiya also. There is no second for that. There is nothing which is equal to it or superior to it. So it is one and only one. So the Lord's name is the only one. It is the ultimate remedy. There is nothing which is equal to it or better than that. All right. Suppose we listen to the advice given by Yajnavalkya and others. What is it we are going to get ultimately? Atyantikam nirvanam vitanuti. It bestows upon us, it gives us Atyantika nirvana. Nirvana is putting out. Pradeepa nirvana is one of the examples normally given. A lamp is burning, a candle is burning, let us say. You blow out the candle, it goes out. So nirvana means blowing out or destroying this little egocentric personality. It's not that we are destroyed. Moksha doesn't mean self-destruction. Moksha simply means destruction of the ego-centered, little body-mind complex-centered personality, that's all. So this nirvana, that is extinction of personality, in the atyantika, final sense, absolute sense, we get. Now why has he used the word atyantikam nirvanam? Well, those who have read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali can understand why he has used this word. There is a particular state called Prakriti Laya. It is one of the higher states of yoga. So by concentrating upon Prakriti, the Trigunatmika Prakriti, the three gunas and all that, the yogi can give up the body here and the soul can merge in the three gunas and temporarily remain in that condition. So there is no experience of sorrow and suffering, nor is there any experience of joy and happiness. It is something like on the Kalgundi Dhage. In that condition, being identified with Prakriti, he will be there. But that is not the Atyantika Mukti, because after a long time, again he comes back to this world. That is Mukti in a temporary sense. So keeping this in mind, because Yajnavalkya and others are great yogis, they have mentioned about this Prakriti Laya also in their works. Let not people think that Prakriti Laya is the ultimate Mukti. So the poet is using the word Atyantika Mukti, Nirvanam Atyantikam. So Atyantika Nirvana or absolute liberation we can get just by the repetition of the divine name Krishna, which will not only cure us of the disease called samsara, but also bestow upon us eternal health called mukti. So in a beautiful shloka with plenty of analogies and plenty of information packed in, the poet Kulashekara is giving us lot of teaching which will be useful for our spiritual life.